back to the Paid Search Podcast YouTube channel. My name is Jason Rothman. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Chris. Chris, say hi.
Hi.
All right, you ready to get inside of this?
Yeah. It's a beautiful day. I'm distracted. I don't really want to be inside, but nobody pays me to be outside. So let's do it.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Yes.
Oh my God.
Welcome back to the Paid Search Podcast. My name is Jason Rothman. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, partner, Chris Schaefer, the great Chris Schaefer. Chris, how's it going today?
Jason, why did the orange stop?
I don't know why.
He ran out of juice. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Paid Search Podcast. I got a joke from Molly on Twitter. She responded and gave me a funny joke. Thank you, Molly, for that dad quality joke. Happy to start off with the first joke of the podcast. I'm not always the funny one. I feel like you're the funny one, Jason, and I just wanted to be the funny one because that's a good joke. My 7-year-old would really appreciate that. So, Jason, what are we talking about today? What we got going on today?
Okay, well, today, as always, hopefully, we are sponsored by Directive Consulting. We recommend everybody check out their website. They offer free custom proposals. Now, Chris, today we're solving a problem. We're solving the problem of how do I know my AdWords campaign is at a top quality professional level? How do I know it's at the highest level possible and I'm doing everything I can do to make this a great campain? But before that, I want to read an iTunes review of the week here, Chris. This review,
I'm excited. Oh, yes.
Review comes from Intro TAU. And the title of the review is, "If I hated AdWords, I would still listen." 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get real. These guys are so good that even if I hated the very essence of AdWords, I would listen. If just hearing the word AdWords invoked a chemical or biological dry heave of unpredictable quality or quantity, I would still listen and do it joyfully. They are that awesome. If you could only listen to one thing before you died, this would be that thing. So it's good to get very straightforward, honest reviews about the content there. And going forward, everybody, I want only reviews like that. I don't want just like, this is a good podcast, 5 stars. I want flattery on a world scale that the world's never seen. I want reviews that make that last review look like an insult. So please do your best.
Blush. Yeah, make Jason blush. I love it. I appreciate that. That's wonderful. I laughed when I read that, and I have to say, I was glancing through the reviews as well, and there's some highly entertaining ones there as well. It would not be very much fun if we just read everyone's reviews, but I really appreciate them. They're really funny, and we appreciate every review that we get. That's really awesome of you guys to share. When I feel blue, I always go and read a review.
What's with you today, dude? The rhymes,
you
the jokes.
Started. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've listened to a lot of heavy, hard music today, and so I'm in a weird mood. So.
At least you're in a mood. Last week you were just like dust. You were just like dust formulated together that looks like a good-looking human being. Like
I was tired.
I don't know what was going on with you.
I was tired, and today I have supplemented my energy with heavy metal music. So if you want to know, just at me on Twitter, and I'll let you know some of my favorite bands if you're interested. Probably not going to get anyone. But all right, Jason, today we're talking about how to be a pro. I have a couple tips. I know you have a couple tips to share about. And the way I'm thinking about this is basically we do this. This is kind of a way for you to look at your AdWords campaign and do kind of a checklist and say, am I doing this? If I look at this, am I doing this? And am I doing it properly? Check. Am I doing that? Because there's no way that we can look at everyone's account and say that you're doing it appropriately for you. These are generic type of things that you can apply to just about anybody and say, are you hitting these benchmarks? Okay. There's always a level that you can go deeper, but these, I would say, are very good standards by which you can say, I'm hitting a very educated, advanced level in AdWords. And I say that, Jason, you may not think that these point to an advanced level, but Jason, I do a lot of training. And when I do training, I see some of the most horrific, scary things that any AdWords manager can see. Pour one out for a homie, because it is like, I go in, I'm like, all right, let's take a look at your, and talk about dry heaves. You know, I'm like, I just see broad keywords, and it's just awful. And it's like, people don't even hear what we're saying. It's crazy. So I have three I can run through real quick. Jason, I know you have a few to go through. And well, I honestly think that once we go through these, I mean, if you ask yourself these questions, you'll be able to know, okay, I'm above probably 80%. Would you say if you were able to check these off, you'd probably say above 80, 90% of all the other advertisers out there?
97%. Because
97%.
And yeah, I want you to work in your tips to these different sections we're going to go through. But the problem that this episode is curing, Chris, is, like you said, people are starting from all different places on Google AdWords when they find a show like this, or when they really try to dial things in. And it just speaks to the power of search engine marketing, that so many people can run pretty awful campaigns and still be profitable, and still grow their business, because search is so effective that there's a lot of slack built into the system. But one of the things I hear, Chris, when I'm not doing training, when I'm just talking to new clients, is, or people who work at agencies, or questions we get from this audience, is people think they're doing good, and a lot of times they are, but they have no idea. There's no checklist out there for how to know for sure if they really are doing as good as they can. So what we've done here today is we're going to go through the different things that we both look at. And I think if you can just check off all these items and you don't have any issues with them, and you're performing on them as we're going to cover, you can always improve. Every campaign's unique, but you're probably doing AdWords at a extreme professional level better than 97% of the public out there, Chris. Now, Chris, let me just, before we get into our checklist here, let me talk about today's sponsor, Directive Consulting. They're the go-to B2B search engine marketing agency, directiveconsulting.com. One thing about Directive is they do it all when it comes to search. So they do pay-per-click, search engine ads, they do SEO, and they do content. And today I want to talk about a growth story they had with a little company I like to call Allstate. Of course, we all know Allstate. That these are the kind of companies Directive works with. Enterprise companies, people who need B2B. In this case, it's an enterprise. It's huge. It's Allstate. They're a national insurance company, and they have over 10,000 agents located all over the country. So what they wanted to do was increase the discoverability online of all those locations, increase traffic to those different locations, and conversions. So the way they did that with Directive was through SEO. Now, SEO, obviously a little bit different than AdWords, pay-per-click, but it's something that is in the same ballpark. It has the same end goal. You want to get traffic from people doing searches for your product or service, in this case, insurance. And we've said in the past that while we don't cover SEO on this show, it is definitely something, if you do it right, and Directive does it right, that's good for your business. It's not a bad thing. If you do it right, it is good, because it brings in traffic that's looking for exactly what you offer. So Directive did a lot of new content They made pages with the right keywords. They did a lot of technical work. There's things like site speed that I know a lot of people can need help with their websites. And they did both the content and the technical stuff. So what they were able to do for Allstate was increase their conversions year over year by 24%, increase their search impression views on search year over year by 21%, and increase their page views of those agent locations by 21%. So the nice thing about Directive, and one of the reasons we recommend them, they do it all. They'll get you covered on AdWords, and at the same time, they'll get you covered on SEO. So they did it for Allstate. They can do it for you. Head over to directiveconsulting.com. They offer a free custom proposal, and the Paid Search Podcast guys recommend them. And we thank them for being today's sponsor of the show. So Chris, let's break it down field by field, and it's kind of a thing. You offer training to the noobs, the Christmas noobs. You offer training to people who've been in it for years. I want to approach this today like we're doing some Chris Schaefer training, and I come to you as someone who I just want a second set of eyes over my AdWords account that I'm managing for a client. I want to know from the best in the game that I really am doing it at a professional level. So if they came to me and asked me that, Chris, the first place I would look is the search terms quality. Is that the first place you're headed, or what do you think of that?
It's yes, it definitely is the first place that I head, with a quick stop on the way at the at two other places. I just quickly look at the total spend, search impression share, clicks, just to see how much volume, whether we're working at a $500 or a $5,000 a month type of client. Quickly jump over to the AdWords, sort it by clicks. What's the top click in the past 30 days? Is it broad? That immediately pulls things down in my mind about whether they know what they're doing. Because that's a concern. Not because you have broad keywords. That is not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying if it is the top spend keyword, that is a concern. And then finally, I jump over to search terms and sort by impressions, maybe by clicks. And I look, what's the top search query? Is the top search query a totally unqualified search? Is it a brand keyword? Is it a competitor? These would be huge red flags. And if I go through all of that and I don't see anything that just immediately tips off, I don't have to jump in and determine, are they doing SCAGs? Do they have 3 ads per ad group? Do they have less than 30 keywords per ad group? These are things I don't care about. These are just numbers that we throw out because these are good rules of thumb. Mm-hmm. But in reality, that's what I really, that's why I can look at a count. I don't do written audits because all those stupid details really don't matter. I mean, because I can put together a quick 2, 3, 4 minute video, screen share video, and tell someone what they have going on with their campaign. And I don't need to tell them that they don't have some obscure negative keyword in place that they can drop 20% of their clicks because this one negative keyword is in place. That's silly. They don't want to know that. They just want to know, hey, is this good or bad?
When you go in there and look to see if they're doing it at a pro level, it's not like you're building an account. You're going in there with a different mindset. You don't care how they're getting it done. You're just looking to see, first of all, are they getting it done? And the way you tell that is by the and with your tip, the keyword, that what is getting most of the traffic. And if it's a keyword, kind of a red flag. Not for me, I could see a case where that could happen, but it is kind of a red flag. Chris, with search term quality, I put in that I want to see 99% quality on there. I don't want to see any, if we're talking about an account as good as it can be, I don't think you should have more than 99% extreme, maybe call it 90%, but you should not be going down that list of search terms and be seeing bad quality searches. Like if you're not trying to target competitors, you shouldn't see those. If you're not trying to target prices or whatever, you shouldn't see that. Definitely shouldn't be seeing anything like if it's a mover, DIY or truck rental or whatever. I mean, just stuff that totally doesn't fit. I'm at an optimized account that's not trying to play around with broad keywords. You basically should be above 90-95% quality on the search terms report. Is that
Yeah.
too harsh or is that realistic?
No, I completely agree. I mean, one of the things that I immediately do when I jump into a campaign and it's a new account and I'm doing training or something like that is if one of the top keywords is something questionable, that's a little too broad for me, that doesn't seem to be tightened down quite enough, and they have some, lots of clicks, pretty high bids, I will immediately click that one keyword and pull search terms just from that one keyword and sort by clicks and see what kind of quality are they pulling from this. And if that top keyword is pulling, just like you said, anything over, if I see just a few in that top top 10 list of the search terms, this is a concern, because if their top keywords are getting poor quality, what's that say about the rest of the campaign? I'm not going to go in here and say, hey, did you know 2 months ago you got a click from a competitor on something and it was a wasted spend of $3? That's stupid. Who cares? It doesn't matter. But when it comes down to that top stuff, the high level stuff, that absolutely makes a difference.
Okay, so the first check mark you need to get through if you want to really know your account is as good as it can be at a top professional level, and there's not as much kind of optimization, hardcore optimization work left to do, you have to get your search terms right. And by right, we mean hardcore, 90 plus, 95% plus. Seriously, you look down your, like Chris, people may be listening and thinking, oh, I look at my search terms, they're pretty good. They're a lot better than they were last month. It's not to that level. I'm talking way past that. When I do my negative keyword work on some of my accounts I'm most focused on, Chris, I don't find any negative keywords a lot of weeks for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clicks. I've got things so locked down with match types and negative keyword list that we're not wasting any money on bad search terms.
Yeah.
So that's the first check mark. If you want to know you're at a top professional level, that search terms report is clean. Now, Chris, the next thing I'm kind of looking at is conversion rates. And this one's a little bit tougher because we all know industries vary and all that kind of stuff. And so, like, if you're a Chris industry, apparently a 2% conversion rate is good. If you're Jason industry, 35% conversion rates. No, I'm just kidding. But Chris, we talked about last week, call only can have 45% conversion rates. We never dream of that on search campaigns. And you can have a top perfect search campaign, B2B, that maybe only has like a 5% conversion rate or 3% or 4%. So this one's kind of tougher. I would say the check mark thing here for me, Chris, is more that we're tracking all leads and that we are generating leads from all our different conversion types. So you can't tell me you have a top professional as good as it can get account and you're tracking phone calls, but you're not tracking like lead forms on the site. That's just not as good as it can be. So my threshold here is more like you're tracking everything for sure, every possible way someone can become a conversion. And if you're doing that, most likely you're going to have a 5 to 25% conversion rate, maybe on the mid to higher range of that, 10 to 15%. What do you think of that for a search lead gen?
Yeah, I mean, Jason, I don't know what this says. Possibly it's an age thing. Maybe I'm just
B2B. You do. It makes sense.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe I'm more negative. My wife says I'm negative. So I just don't think. I just don't see a whole lot of 25% type of stuff. It's just not the case for me. I live more in a world where like a one good click conversion and sale can basically set the entire campaign value for the next 6 months for some of the clients. So it's conversion rates, just like you said at the top, is not something I particularly use as a qualification. I would not sweat it, listeners, if you had a 2% or had a 1% or a 0.5%. You just need to know that the quality of traffic that you're getting and that you are getting something out of it. Perhaps you don't want to track phone calls because you can't change your phone number and track it. So you don't know how many calls you're getting, or you're using a third-party system and you can't track completed forms on your website. So you don't have an ability to track those. And that's unfortunate, but that's the case for a lot of people. So that's just my thoughts on that one. Jason, I want to jump in on the next one. And sure. I should have said this before when we were talking about search queries. But one thing that I like to do with search queries, and we're going backwards a little bit, but this is a little exercise that I might try. Take your top, we're talking about quality. Take your top few search queries, sort them by maybe, let's say, clicks, because that's the only thing that really matters. Impressions, you're not paying for. Clicks, you're actually getting. Take the clicks, copy and paste the first one, the second one, the third one, and put them into Google. Do a Google search and look at what you're getting. Look at the search results of that search. Look at the ads that are showing up. And so kind of a self-test here. If you are unable to self-diagnose, are these good keywords? Take that word, put it back into Google, and look at the ads on there. Look at the content of the organic search. And is this appropriate to the type of sales? Are all these people selling the same kind of thing that you're selling? Are these relevant to what you're selling? And if the answer is no, if it seems off, if it's like, well, I sell printing services, I don't sell printers, and it's just a bunch of printer ads, not printing service ads, red flag. Okay. So just something, because I don't really have anything to add particularly for the conversion stuff, but that's a good self-test there. Because a lot of people cannot self-reflect on what they're doing in AdWords because they're too deep in it. They're so deep in the hole, they can't figure out how tall is this hole. I haven't seen light in days, so you can't see because you're so deep into your system. That's a good way to kind of pull yourself out and look around and see, this is where my ad's showing up for the most. Am I in good company here? Is this seem relevant to me? So that's specifically search terms. Search terms, by the way. I'm not talking about keywords.
Yeah, because search terms are like our number one checklist here is that they have to be 99% good, basically. But good is, I guess, a subjective term. So if you're running an HVAC, you might be getting 20% of your traffic from the search term air conditioning. And you may think, oh, that's good. It's related. But if you do that search on Google, you'll probably see air conditioning units. You'll probably see job postings for air conditioning companies. Yeah, car stuff. So, I mean, we're talking deep in the funnel here, ready to buy. And you do the search, it's exactly spot on to what you're advertising when you do it in Google. So, Chris, the next one here,
just in case anyone's listening, I just say, just in case you're like, someone's like, well, why wouldn't I want to see air conditioning? Jason and I are saying instead of AC or instead of air conditioning, you would want to see a local term. So Dallas air conditioning or air conditioning repair or air conditioning service company. That would be a solid term that you would definitely see exactly the type of results you want. So I just wanted to fill that hole in. I feel like sometimes we talk a little bit and then don't give that obvious answer, but that would be a more appropriate search term. Go ahead, Jason.
Right. Now, Chris, as we're moving on here to click-through rate, this is for people who want to know they're doing everything possible to make this a great account, and it's at a professional, extreme top threshold of performance. I would say, Chris, I don't care what position you're in, 1, 3, 4, you should be getting a 3% or higher click-through rate. Do you think that's too tough?
I wouldn't say 4. No, I'd say 4. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to cause a division in the group here because Jason, I respect your standards. I wouldn't want, if I had my clients listening, I wouldn't want them to judge my campaign in professional ability based on their click-through rate, and if it's not over 3%. So I don't know. I'm not with you on that one. I think there's a lot of things, but I think more important, I think if you dug down into the keyword level, I don't think I'm thinking about at a campaign level. dig down to the keyword level, look at your click-through rates. Maybe ad group level, look at your click-through rates. Because those can really differ. You can have I could have some ad groups that are very wide reaching, like a low bid, broad keyword that's specifically designed to get impressions and to gather some information at a cheaper rate. And it could have a horrible click-through rate. So I would say base that more on your top keywords. What's your top keyword getting? What's your top 3 keywords getting? Not search terms. We're completely swapping here. Don't look at your search terms because that's completely biased. That's only that one search term. We're talking about keywords here. Look at your search term and, is it getting 3+? Then I agree with you.
Yeah, depending on what kind of keyword it's. I just know what the top campaigns do that I run, and it's very rare when you're doing great on keywords and great on ad copy and just everything's at a top level to see. I mean 3% is maybe tough, but I definitely don't see like a lot of like 1.5% on those kind of keywords. But I can see where reasonable people can think it's not the biggest focus there. Now, Chris, moving on to bids, what are you doing with your bids? This is one where I think a lot of people can get into a lot of trouble. And the reason I say that is because you can do all of the above that we've talked about, right? You can have your conversions set up and tracking. You can have your search term quality perfect. But if you're underbidding and not spending the full desired budget and not getting as many conversions as you can, or if you're overbidding and you're paying too much and you're not getting as many clicks or leads as you could for that same budget, then you're not running at a perfect level. And I was thinking about how you know that. Like, how can you actually tell that? And that's where it gets kind of tough. The only things that come to my mind, and then I want to hear how you would diagnose that issue, is anytime I see position 1.0, we are spending the full budget, think we can lower bids and try to get a 1.5, a 2, a 2.1, something, and just see how low we can go. And still be able to spend the full budget, getting a lower cost per click and a lower cost per conversion. And then on the flip side, if we're not spending the full budget and we see search impression share loss due to ad rank, that tells me we have room to increase the bids, as long as increasing them we have room within our desired cost per conversion to get a higher cost per conversion. So say our goal is $30 cost per lead, and we're only hitting a $20 cost per lead, which is great, but we're missing out on 40% of searches and not spending the full budget. We should probably raise the bids, get a higher cost per conversion that's still in our goal, and get more leads overall. Those are the 2 ways I would diagnose it. Is there any other way to look at bids?
This is something that you have shed light on specifically with me in the past that I really respect. I like your diagnosis of it's not, you don't always push up, because that was always something I used to do in my younger years. Was I always just pushed harder and pushed more. If I wasn't getting enough, I just bid more. I increased bids. And I think that's a great point, and I completely agree. I don't really think there's anything apart from that I would say. I like the fact that if you have 0% loss due to budget, then you could effectively pull bids down a bit and see if you can still get that 0% loss due to budget. So, well, no, I should take that back. I guess it needs to be. You need to have something.
To be a number there. Yeah. So say you're missing out on.
It needs to be a number.
30% due to budget. You've got room to go down and still show up.
Right. So now, you're hitting the cap. As soon as you start seeing 0, I said that backwards. As soon as you start seeing 0% loss due to budget, that means there's some more there that you could get. So, that's I like that, and I think that's something I've always liked about your strategy on bidding. Makes perfect sense to me. And I've been testing a bit more of the maximize clicks and stuff, because they've been putting a lot of changes in, tweaking those. But again, I'm going to stick to what I always said. There are some people that's appropriate for and some that are not. Just quick rule of thumb for me, campaigns that don't get a lot of conversions, don't get a lot of clicks, don't have a whole lot of history. That automated bidding is not one of my favorite types of things. The low spend, low conversion. I don't feel like there's a lot of optimization that Google can do with that. So I like to back off a bit on those, but higher volume conversions, higher volume clicks, I'm okay with a lot of that. So,
yep. Now, Chris, another deceptive, and this topic of like, am I doing it the best I possibly can? There's a lot of self-deception that can go on, and I'm sure we fall prey to it all the time. One of the self-deceptive things is you can have your bids right. You can know you're getting the most leads possible and most clicks possible for the budget. Your click-through rate's great. Your conversions are all tracking. Your search term quality is 99%. But what if you're missing out on keywords? What if you're missing out on great keywords that are going to lead to awesome conversions at a great cost for the advertiser, and you don't know you're missing out on them? That's where it can get self-deceptive. Like I'll give you a great example. Personal injury campaign, Chris. I'm doing great at it. I did not have the term pain and suffering attorneys. It's not something that crossed my mind. It's not something that was on the client's websites. It's not something they asked for.
Interesting.
But I don't remember how I came across it in the keyword research, but I did. And we tried it out, and it's getting a great cost per conversion. And it's bringing in new leads this month that they did not get in the previous months because I missed that keyword. So I could have looked at the campaign and it was doing everything else we had just talked about perfect, but I was missing out on great leads for them. So if I told you, like, I need to know if I'm missing keywords, and I can't tell that because all I'm doing is looking at my account. How do I know that? How can I figure that out? How can I find keywords that I don't know about? It's kind of a tough thing to do, but what would you do in that case?
Yeah, a lot of the times there will be those missed keywords that I'll see in the search queries that will have a term in there that I might be able to pick up on. So that's my first easiest way to find it. Another way is going to be what we harp about all the time. We did a special episode about it, the big red keyword button. That always has a lot of new information, interesting stuff that you never thought of. And the more times you try it with different keywords, the more you're going to get different results and different types of ideas. So big red keyword in the old interface. Google, if you're listening, shoot us an email. We will explain very thoroughly about what we're talking about. But you guys don't steal it. Don't steal it from us. Please bring it back. So that's essentially my tool. My two tools is the keyword button in the old interface, and then search queries to find those missing holes like you're talking about.
Yep. A couple things I would do. I would do the big red button. I would do search terms. You can always try broad keywords at a small level. Keep them in their own budget just for pure keyword research. See what you come up on. Do Google searches. See what autofills. See what shows up at the bottom of the search engine in terms of recommendations. Another thing I like doing, Chris, scan the clients' and competitors' websites. See what their service topics are. Look at your own client site. Look at competitors' websites. And then there's something to be said about common sense, like getting outside of your account, just writing down what terms come to mind. And maybe you've never put them in there. But really, anytime I try to get more keywords, Chris, it is big red button. It's search terms. I get some ideas from broad keyword search terms a lot. And then intense Google searches. Like it's just like you do a search like personal injury lawyers. And then one of the things at the bottom of the search results, the recommendations, has the word pain for some reason. And then you start doing a search for that. And then one of the recommendations on that is pain and suffering lawyers. And so that's how I found that keyword. So just intense Google research, searching and searching and searching. So making sure you're not missing out on any keywords, that's key there.
Chris, and one thing I just quickly say, because there's a lot of things that I want people to hear that we didn't say, and I want you to notice that we didn't say it. Jason and I immediately didn't go say, you need to buy a software that's $150 a month in order to find these keywords. We both referenced tools that were free and coming from the source that we use, Google. So, that's,
which, by the way, that's where those softwares get their keywords, I think, right?
Yeah. I mean, the systems are not really providing anything unique. They're just doing it in a way that hopefully is easier for you. But I often don't prefer those methods. They don't really have my ideas in mind when they provide keyword research. It's like keyword research button. I hit it, and then here's 400 keywords. Oh, great. What am I going to do with those? I don't want 400 keywords. So yeah, just to point out that little hole there, we didn't mention anything to go out there and buy. I get that question a lot.
Right. Now, Chris, just some final things here as we wrap up. A quick overview of your demographics, gender, age groups, income levels, and your devices. Not to do optimizations here, but to look for no-brainer situations. So
yeah,
for some reason, say you had 18 to 24-year-olds on for a high-end kitchen and bathroom remodeler, and even though their parents could be in their account, whatever, say it was just clear over thousands of dollars to spend, their cost per conversion is going to be horrible compared to the other age groups. You need to have that box checked and turn them off, and make sure you're aware of your devices and demographic differences. Maybe tablets don't get any conversions. You should have those off. Just being aware of what's going on there. That's a quick thing. And then remarketing, Chris, I think just look for your placements every now and then. Make sure you're not getting tons and tons of clicks at an unnatural click-through rate from a certain placement, like 1 or 2 placements. That's a sign that someone's trying to game their website or whatever to get unnatural clicks, which aren't doing you any good. But just having a remarketing and staying on top of that placement list. Chris, I'm trying to think here. Is there anything else at a extreme top professional level that someone needs to be checking off before they can rest assured that they're running at that level?
Well, I would say to go with the remarketing. One thing I saw recently when I was looking at AdWords campaigns was someone had about $1,200 spending on Google search. Okay. And then I looked at the remarketing. The remarketing campaign was spending $700. $700. And this is a recreational facility. And that's $700 a month. So the quick check here, are you doing it right, is to give some rule of thumb here. You should not be spending more than a couple $100. I'd say 200 maybe for remarketing. If you have a moderate number of people coming to your site, if you're a local business, if you're not getting tens of thousands of people coming to your site, you should not be spending that many impressions, that many clicks. Because I think you're overhounding it, and the other thing is probably what's happening is you might have optimized lists that are advertising to people outside of your remarketing. So 700 really high, maybe 300, something like that in a month, but depends on how much your CPC is. If your CPC is really high, Jason, I know you like to push that CPC way on up there with no limits. But I would say be careful, because those optimized lists will advertise to people outside of your remarketing. And what you're essentially doing is showing display ads. You're no longer remarketing to people who know who you are. You are showing display ads to people who don't know who you are, which is not what you meant to do.
That's a great point. I do, Chris. I've spent $655 in the last month on remarketing, and I don't even target 25 to 34-year-olds because they're millennials and they don't have businesses to pay me money. But I did turn it on the other day to try it, try it out, and I got multiple text messages, Snap messages, Facebook messages from my 25 to 34-year-old millennial friends. Dude, you're all over the internet today. Why are you following me around? And it's like, they're so immature. They just couldn't even handle it. They couldn't take it. So I turned them off. But it was just funny. I run at higher levels, higher age groups. I know people in higher age groups, never hear from them about it, but I ran with the millennials one day and things were crazy. But Chris, I'd say remarketing is it's just a reflection of how much traffic a site gets and how big that list can be.
Yes.
But that is and so reasonable people can disagree about how big those budgets should be. But I think that's a great tip, that in quote unquote optimized lists where Google finds like-minded people, or what they say are similar audiences to your remarketing list, it's no longer remarketing because that similar audience hasn't been to your website, and it's just going to blow up your impressions. So that is an excellent.
If you have 2,000 people in your remarketing list, the optimized similar audience might have 10,000 people, and now you're no longer effectively remarketing. You're essentially the majority of your spend is now display, that's silly. I completely disagray with that. So, right. I think that it's questionable. It's questionable, how much spend, but mainly I was focusing on the hey puppy. I was focusing on the percentage difference. He's spending $1,100, $1,200 on search, and then $700, $800 on remarketing. That's the main point. He's spending almost just as much on that, and I just feel like that's probably too much. So, all right, Jason, I think we hit it. I think
we hit it. Yeah. And again, everybody, we hear from you guys all the time, and I hear from new clients all the time. And one of the things I constantly hear is, how's it going? Are we doing it right? Are we doing it at a professional level? This is the checklist we use to run through to see if we're doing everything possible right. And we hope we helped you guys answer that question. So we appreciate you guys sharing the show. We're here every Monday with the Paid Search Podcast. Every Tuesday and Wednesday, we have the PPC questions and answers show, which one day soon, Chris, will be 5 days a week. And I'm looking forward to doing that with you.
Oh, wow.
My friend.
Really?
Yes. And we want to thank Directive Consulting for sponsoring today's episode. Free custom proposals at directiveconsulting.com. Show notes at paidsearchpodcast.com. We appreciate you guys listening. And we'll see you next time at night in your closet right before you fall asleep, or on the next episode of the Paid Search Podcast. Bye, everybody. Bye.